There's a reason that Srisanth has had to pull out a bowling this ball, and it hasn't got any close on.
Well, that streaker, we don't know at the moment if it's a boy or a girl streaker.
It's a boy.
A boy.
It's a boy, Rich.
Well, he could have done some injury to Andrew Symonds there, because he seemed to run straight at him and all of a sudden he was on his back.
I don't know who's worse off.
Well, Symonds was a bit unlucky. He went the wrong way.
He was training with the Broncos for one pre-season, and I think occasionally goes back to top up his fitness. But that was the first tackle of the State of Origin.
And it was a male.
If you say so.
Well, they've finally found some common ground. What about these games of cricket we're getting? I mean, you can't take your eye off a single ball. Just didn't quite carry.
In that case, I'll take your word for it. It was a male.
Yeah, it was. He's seeing stars at the minute.
Evening, boys and girls. BJonGameDay back for another week. Guys, obviously just a short little intro there for the great Andrew Symonds. Roy, you know, such an influential cricketer, such an influential Australian sports person of the last sort of 20 years, and such a tragedy. You know, some really sort of hard stories, obviously, with Warnie and now Roy. You know, two blokes who just really epitomise what it is to be an Aussie. You know, just giving everything you can and loving the people around you, and, you know, just genuine characters. And, you know, we look at any sport that people play out there, whether it's footy, whether it's cricket, whatever it may be. You know, there's people that in every sport that we just simply gravitate towards. And Roy was definitely one of those. So he will be sadly missed. You know, up here in Queensland, they've definitely felt it in Brizzy. And yeah, so.
I think I felt feeling this one even more than Warnie putting that intro together.
Mate, I think just that it's so quick afterwards, you know. It barely had time to sort of mourn Warnie and the brilliance that he was. And, mate, Roy, yeah, just a little bit hard, mate. But, yeah, he'll be well remembered anyway.
Yeah.
And mate,
if I have to do another fucking memorial this year, I think I'm gonna fucking cry. Like,
yeah, well, let's hold off any until next season, mate. Please.
Yeah, please, everyone, stay safe and look after yourselves. And
I don't want to see any more. I don't want to do any memorials, mate. We've had sports people, we've had, you know, blokes who are close to us in Nico and things like that. So yeah, if we can leave these alone until next year, we're too young to start saying farewell to mates and farewell to blokes who are that young as well. So, yeah. But, Bogues, mate, flying solo tonight. Obviously, you're alongside me, mate. But,
yeah.
Hampton having a few
a bit of a
family health issues.
Yeah, potentially a COVID issue with one of his young'uns. But when you have 15 young'uns, one of them's bound to get COVID at some point.
Hey. And look, when we've seen it, you know, when one player in the football team gets it, the rest of them get it. So let's wish him the best of luck for the next week or so.
That's it. Speaking of blokes who has a lot of kids, Shane Foote was supposed to join us, but unfortunately he's got to look after his young'uns and stuff like that while his missus is at work. But he did send us a very interesting video this afternoon, so we're just going to give that.
Very tasty.
Indeed.
Shane, mate, yeah. Are we going with it now, mate?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Now, from what I'm aware...
This is for you, Matty.
This will come with volume?
The Parramatta beating the Panthers the other
week. I'll
leave
it to Shana.
Oh, it's going to taste gross.
I tell you what, he hasn't gone half. He's
We'll do
gone.
100, we'll do
yeah,
100 mils.
shots.
That's,
That's
that's
two
fair whack.
shots.
That's a bit more than a shot there,
Oh,
Shane.
That's
we
two
go.
shots.
Yeah, you got a couple
Stinks.
double shots in there.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, fuck.
Oh.
oh,
And go Parramatta!
mate, I hate when I dip my sushi too much in soy sauce, mate. I like it a little bit, but fucking hell, he's done well. Shane, very, very good.
And I think that I think that's in response to obviously the Panthers going down to Parramatta a couple of weeks back.
Yes. Shano and Benny with a little side hustle there, and the Penny Panthers going down to Parramatta there a couple of weeks ago. They bounced back amazingly against Melbourne on the weekend with Magic Round, but Magic Round was anything but for Supercoaches. Unfortunately,
for
I
some
guess
of
we
us,
all sort of hurt after the weekend. What was that, Boat?
for some of us, yeah.
Mate, it's
Some people have caught a lot of ground.
look, I mean, if you scored anything over 1,000, I think you saw green arrows. If you scored over 1,100, you saw some massive jump up. 954 for me last week, so a little bit disappointing. Brought in Turbo, brought in Garrick. Both of those guys didn't sort of pan out. I did get rid of Talakai to bring in Garrick against the better judgment of a lot of people, but happily Talakai was miserable as well. I think he scored about 35 points. And Talakai dropped about 92 or 93,000. So, mate, it is all part of the strategy of Supercoach and sort of what do you do leading into buy rounds. Players the key, players to sort of flick off. I've probably said it, and I said it to Benny, back when we grabbed on Talakai about 6-7 weeks ago. There was definitely the potential there. We saw that, but the guy is not a proven gun, and I just thought maybe time was now. Take the benefit out of the money that he raised and sort of move on elsewhere. Unfortunately, Garrett couldn't produce, and him and Turbo, mate, both looked very, very sore, playing their games on one leg. So,
I sent Brent a message after last week. I don't know if you caught the VOD of last week, but I was a bit of a rough old show. I was going through my team the whole time. Brent was doing it. He's talking about the games, and he's like, "You still there, Bogan?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'm checking my teams." And I sent him a message.
Well, but yeah.
I'll just go full screen there, King. There
Full
we go.
Screen. Please, Wild Turkey, anytime you like, jump on board.
Say
please.
a slogan for him, mate. Wild Turkey.
Huh? What's their fucking slogan?
I don't know. Make one up, mate. You're supposed to be a salesman.
No, I've got nothing.
Wild Turkey. It gets you pissed.
It does do that. Absolutely. I fucking love it. Mate, yeah, look. It was a tough week. It was a tough week.
This is for you,
Hampton,
Matty.
I think, scored about 1,050 odd, or just under. So he saw some green arrows. I think he's up to about top 5,000. So he's definitely moving in the right direction. For myself, 954 saw me drop down from 190th down to about 360th. So still in touch. I think probably the one thing I can take out of last week was the guy who was leading scored 930. A couple of guys have gone past him. I've really sort of stuck around that 450 behind. So no dramas there. We've just sort of got to look at where we go forward from here and maybe trying to get a few pods, mate, because I think we sort of spoke about it before the show, and I've mentioned to a few lads in the chat. The hard part is that it's been great to see green arrows. I've been really happy with where the team's sort of gone, what I've got. But since about round 3, I've consistently been around that 400 points behind first. And I think if we look in previous seasons, you get to the end of the year and the difference between first and 10th is probably around 300 or 400. So if I can sort of maintain that, that's sort of where I'm heading.
I think if we go off the past few seasons too, what you'll find is that most of the top teams are very similar, and it's been smart choices in pods and captain's choices that have made the difference.
Captain choices are huge.
But it does sort of get to the point there with captain's choices where you sort of got to be a bit arsey.
Yeah, look, you do. I mean, there's obviously got to be some, there's definitely some thoughts behind it and some, clear calculations of, oppositions that your teams are playing, picking the right guys. You look at around like last week where the wet weather up here in Brisbane was just massive, right? We had monumental amount of rain, and we saw that probably affected the Supercoach scores. So it was probably clear last week that you had to go somewhat of a more safer option. Now, you really couldn't have predicted that, Isaiah Papali had scored 2 tries and come out and crack 113. But, chatting to a few boys during the week, it was pretty clear that I was either going to choose Harry Grant or IPAP as that captain. And I went with Harry Grant, just hoping that, maybe Melbourne would perform a little bit better than they did. They got absolutely belted.
I know. I've got like 5 Storm players in my team. It fucked me.
Oh, mate, look. But there's 60 points you miss out on. You look at the week before with Nico, and I've gone Pappy, being the safe option, following the 40%, and there's 100 points you've lost. So all of a sudden you catch up 160 over those 2 weeks, and that's the difference between being 350 where I am now, or you're probably in the top sort of 30 or 40. So, yeah, mate, it's a lot of luck, but it's just out of 100,000 people, mate, there's a few people that are going to get it right each week, and probably 5 or 6 weeks in a row and see some massive green arrows. So, it is what it is. Guys in the chat, all the local lads, all the usual lads. We've got Ados loving the videos, mate. Very, very good. Ados has put a lot of content up over Facebook with his what do you call it, podcast there, Adrianosaurus. Yeah. He's on Spotify. He's on all those kinds of things. We've got Matty in the chat as well, the Triple SC podcast. That rolls off the tongue pretty well, mate. Obviously, Benny, Shano, Hampton's there. Hampton, mate, fucking hell. Jumping in the chat.
He's sitting probably in the emergency room at fucking Woden, watching the show while he's waiting for fucking...
Shano's there, Blades there, Coops is there, Shieldsy, Lyle, all the usual lads. So welcome, boys. Welcome to another week of BJonGameDay. We'll run through the scores shortly, obviously from last week, and then we'll have a look at the week to come as well.
Yep.
We'll run through the results for the leagues at the end of the season. A couple of changes there. I had a loss in every single league that we've got, so unfortunately,
I hope you keep that form, mate, because
domination.
I've got you in one of the leagues this week. Yeah,
mate. I'm trying to reverse my form. I've looked for a couple of pods this week. I've looked for one pod. I think I'm going to follow a lot of other people and get in a cheapie that South have started in their back row in Trent Peoples. He just looks a guaranteed, very, very Supercoach friendly from what we've seen, the stats. A few of the boys have put it through the chat. I was hoping a few people wouldn't have caught on as much. But then there's a couple of guys. You look at Brandon Smith, mate. Obviously we'll talk about players later in the show, but Brandon Smith at 405k gets that starting position with Nelson Asafa Solomona out for a few weeks. He's got that starting position at Melbourne. It's probably just going to see his minutes get a little bit more friendly. Maybe there's someone you have a look at. There's definitely no origin. Obviously, round 13, Melbourne don't play, but he's going to maybe get a consistent few weeks with minutes rather than what we've seen off the bench. I'll get to my other trade in shortly because I've got no boost left, mate. Have you got any left?
No.
Yeah, I'm gone.
I've been full with.
Mate,
I've been full with the trades.
If you don't have them.
Oh,
there's no temptation.
I wish I had them a few times.
Yeah.
But,
no, don't get me wrong. I wish I had them, mate. But at least if I don't, then it means I know I can only trade 2 each week. So
yeah,
there you go.
So yeah, trades.
But,
I know. Ados in the chat. He's big on save your trades, but it's like I'm more trying to build the team and hope that I can scrape through at the end. I'm not going to be up there anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, look, mate, I guess from where I'm from a strategy point of view, I just find it hard to save the trades when I know each week I can improve my team.
Yep.
Or I see opportunities. Sitting on sort of 21 trades going into this week, it's not the greatest amount.
I've got even less than that.
Yeah,
I've used my maximum every week.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I've saved a couple here and there, which is good, but, yeah, still probably not as many as I'd like to. Anyone who still has the boost likes playing on easy mode. Right, yeah. mate, let's jump into the results from last week.
Yeah, and we're still playing around with the format. I had to go back to the old format because I just didn't have time after work this afternoon.
Solo, it won't be too bad. We'll get through this nice and quick.
We didn't last week with the new format, so...
Oh, fair enough. All right, start off the games on the Friday night. We saw the perennial wooden spooners.
How does this go? Brent Hampton, I know you're listening. Think about this. Your team beat the Bulldogs, and that was enough for Trent Barrett to go, no, fuck this, I'm out.
Well, yeah.
That's like...
If you can't beat the second worst team
if you can't beat the Knights, just fucking quit.
Pretty much. That's how bad the Knights are, mate.
Yep.
Mate, from a Supercoach point of view, look, Matty Burton, solid enough for the Dogs. I know there's been a lot of talk in the chats about getting him in. He is the Liam Knight Award winner this year. Guys, stay away from him. Mick Potter's just been announced as the interim Bulldogs coach for the rest of the season. Whether he lasts anywhere beyond that. He had his time at the Tigers. He wasn't any good there either. I just think you can't hear a Bulldogs player unless it's, you've already got Maxi King or whatever. I've made the mistake of going Luke Thompson, and it's hurting me, and I don't like it, but he's there until at least round 13, and then I'll move him on.
Why aren't the Bulldogs going for Flanagan? What's Flanagan doing?
What, Shane Flanagan?
Yeah.
Mate, I think there might be some
he's
conflict there with Gus Gould.
Okay. Because he's right. He's right to be picked up by an NRL club now, isn't he?
Oh, I think he's capable, and I think he's available.
Yeah, I mean he's
comes
not
with a lot of dangers, obviously, with the history.
He's not banned though.
No.
He served his ban.
Time. Yeah.
There's an argument that's the best coach that fucking Cronulla's ever had.
Mate, well, what he did there, yeah. I mean, he got us on the peptides. He got us a premiership.
Yeah.
He's done fucking.
He knows how to drag a team up.
Mate,
by hook or by crook, literally.
I think if you look at the good coaches of the last sort of 15 years, you look at what Belly's done over the last 15, 20. You look at what Trent Robinson's done at the Roosters. Obviously Bennett goes way, way back before that. Flanagan was probably on the same path to what he was doing at Cronulla to establish that kind of consistent, that empire that you see with a lot of these teams where it doesn't matter what the soldiers are, that they perform well, that they just destroy other teams. Cronulla was definitely sort of heading there.
And Cronulla's not going to be looking away from Fitzy at the moment. They're going fairly well, apart from last week's result. But
look, there's as a Sharkies fan, mate, there's a lot that I can point out that they are struggling with. But I think what they figured out last week is they need to have Nico running the show because they brought in Braden Trindle and he was just rubbish. But it is very, very hard without Will Kennedy. I think what we saw on the weekend was how much Will Kennedy makes a difference to that Sharks attack. He is probably, and I'm going to leave out the top echelon of like the Teddies and the Turbo and stuff like that. He's probably even better at Teddy and block plays. But those block plays that you play to each end, Will Kennedy has just got that down to an art, and he is amazing at it. So Cronulla are really going to miss him for the next week. We've got who we got this week? Fuck, can't remember.
We'll get to it.
Anyway, we'll get to that.
We've got to get through. We've got to get through how you got pumped.
Yeah, we'll get him back next week.
We've got to get through how you got pumped by the fucking Raiders.
Man, it's like a joke.
And Ados needs to shout in the chat.
Mate, Ados, fuck yeah. Well done to you boys. But anyway, this game, mate, Bradman Best, top score for the night, 79 points. Mitch Barnett, he is my trade-in this week. I just thought it was a great game from him. A lot of base. He does have try-scoring ability. We've seen it. He maintains that 13 jumper this week, starting for the Knights. Look, the fact that he signed...
What's he priced at?
458K, I think.
Somewhere around there. He's a mid-range...
Yeah, look, he's probably at the top end of a mid-ranger. But I just like the guy, mate. He showed last year that he has spurts. And I think if you can get a good sort of maybe 5 or 6 weeks out of him, let's get him. Let's use him to get through round 17, and hopefully there's some good scores there along the way. Other than that, Clem has been great. A lot of people looking at him, and beyond that, move on.
All right, on to the next one.
Wow.
Wasn't this wonderful to see? Like, this could have been a flogging in either direction, and I would have loved it. It's always great to see either the Broncos or Manly get whooped, and when one's whooping the other, it's nice to see.
I was really amazed by this game. I just Manly, look, they've got so many injuries. I really don't know the direction the club's going, but
what happened with Turbo? That's probably the big question.
Look, the call is that he had a cork early in the game. Now, anyone who's sort of played footy before, and when you do get a cork, it disables you for the whole game. It's
anyone who's got an older brother.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You get fucking thumped in the leg. You got a dead leg for the next day or two. So let's hope that's all it was. It did look like it was a little bit more than that, but reports are that it was just the cork. I've brought him in. I'm scared shitless. I'm not going to let him go. A simple fact is
Won't
that
touch him, mate.
I will not.
Won't touch him.
I will not have a fullback combination that isn't Turbo, Pappy, or Teddy. At any stage, it's going to be those three. I think that is the key. And I've made that rule from the start, was that the quickest way that I could fill my spine, those 8 players in the spine, with the best 8 players in the comp. I've got 7 of them. I've still got Api Coruscant in there for 13. But I'm basically, probably the mistake there was not going Cotter, because he's just proven to be an absolute workhorse.
Mr. Cotter.
And I don't think he plays Origin. I know a lot of people are talking about it. I think that he will be in the squad, but I think he's still on that outside edge for now.
But the cow, we'll get to that too. Remind me of that. Are we done with this, or do we want to keep going through?
Mate, let's just quickly go. Olakatu had another solid game for Supercoach. 55 in a team that scored 0 points. Other than that, not too much to report there. From the Broncos,
A-Ray, it's just been. I heard someone say career best form, and I went, nah, it's not career best. He won a premiership with South, but he just keeps stringing them together. Like, it's hard to argue. He puts in a couple more performances. It's hard to argue that he is playing the best footy of his career.
He's just a class player, and I mean,
I'm still fucking pissed off that South got fucking rid of him.
Oh, mate, South made the biggest mistake getting rid of him. It was just the dumbest error they could have. They really had to realise what they had and what they didn't have in place to replace him. Like, you look at who they've brought through in Ilias and Taff. Like, these guys are just fucking useless. They are. They don't hold a candle to Reynolds.
Kane Anderson's got the Dolphin on his symbol there in the chat, and we're both going Dolphins next year. And the reason I'm going for the Dolphins is the treatment that South gave to Adam Reynolds.
Yeah.
So
there you go. That's enough.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he's
but yeah,
just
beyond
amazing.
that, mate.
And as you can see from there, didn't have Coates in my fucking starting team for the draft, and that fucked me.
Yeah. Mate, Cobbo, 3 tries for 79.
Yeah.
I know Ados is cursing, mate, but
I sold
mate,
him weeks ago. Pissed off.
Yeah, I don't think selling him was a mistake, mate. This guy he doesn't have the base yet. He may get there eventually. He's definitely got the brilliance, but mate, these 79s are going to be accompanied by so many 15s and 20s. Don't worry about it, Ados. Move on, next game, mate.
Yep. And just before we move on to Payne Haas coming back in and not scoring much.
Look, mate, Rabbitohs, 32-30. I think at one stage they led 30-0 or whatever it was. The Warriors came back in the last 25, 30 minutes, scored 5 tries. Mate, the Rabbitohs were solid, but they definitely took advantage of a Warriors team starting very, very slowly. AJ had a bit of a return to form. Walker was good without being great again. He still scares me that I own him because I'm worried about the next 20 before I'm worried about the next 100. Cookie's been great. Tough, unfortunately, downdated for any owners. He did finish the game before updates on 81, and he lost 14 points. I think, fuck, I don't have him. From the Warriors' point of view, look, a few people talking about Tavanga. I've been talking about Tavanga for the last fucking 5 years. This guy is a genuine Supercoach player. He is so friendly for Supercoach, but he just hasn't been able to maintain consistent minutes. If this guy week in, week out gets the 70, 80 minutes that he deserves, he is a must in second row. Whether you want him in second row or hooker, I think probably behind Harry Grant. If he gets 80 minutes, he's challenging blokes like Cookie and that as being the next best hooker in the game. That 85 included a try, but he's just got that work ethic and that motor. Where it's worth having him.
That's lucky to get away with that one.
All right, go next game, mate.
Next one. Sorry. Here we go.
Oh, look, the Titans. Obviously, the Titans getting up over the Dragons. Bowie Firma having a great game for anyone who kept a hold of him. This is definitely the player that I saw at the start of the season. Unfortunately, when he got COVID, I did decide to trade him out. I'm not too sure pricing-wise where he is, but yeah, look, this is a guy that you can sort of hold your hat on and stay with him for the rest of the season because there's just upside to this guy. There is no downside. He is a good player. He's solid. He tackles well. He's got brilliant in attack. Chases through. He just does everything, and he's just developing and getting better and better. So he's probably one guy in the Titans you can have in your team with a little bit of confidence that throughout the season you probably won't have to get rid of him. Once he got over that COVID, I know COVID takes a month to get over. I did it myself. He just would have been struggling those few weeks afterwards, and that was sort of that downturn in scores. Again, probably two teams where not too many people have these players. So, mate, Tino, we've spoken about him. As I got pointed out to me a couple of weeks ago when I thought he didn't play Origin, he obviously does play for Queensland. Mo Fotuaika, the same thing. A lot of Queensland players here in the Titans team. I think they're just all in a void at the moment. Next, folks. Keep going, mate.
You're not going into St. George? Fair enough.
Nah, fuck him. St. George are terrible.
Oh, fuck. We
wow.
predicted this would be the game of the round, and fucking hell.
Hey. All right, so this is the game we can sort of spend 5 or 10 minutes on. Targo, wow, massive game from Targo. Huge bounce back. Scored a double. Was active. Just really put on some good performances. Cleary, just his genuine sort of 80, 85 that he gets when he doesn't do anything really superstar-like. Billy Kick, massive. What's that, mate?
I should have put the C on him.
Yeah, look, he's just one of those guys. It doesn't really matter who he plays. He seems to just score this kind of score.
I generally levitate between him, Nico, and Pappy. It's not a set and forget, but it's basically the chosen three.
Yeah.
And this week I went Nico. It's like fuck.
But look, all your regulars up there for Penrith with regards to Supercoach scoring. Billy Kicks was great. Jerome Luai was brilliant. Across the park, they were just really, really effective, the Panthers. I've had a few people talk about Dylan Edwards, getting him in as a sort of pod and around 13 player. It's not somewhere I'd go. As I say, for me, any sort of flexibility has to be around the sort of non-vital positions. I think once you've got that spine set up, just leave it and take who you can. From Melbourne, look, Cam Munster said it perfectly after the game. They basically played like an under-12 side. There's just so many errors, and it's probably a bit uncharacteristic for these two teams, is that normally when you see them come up against each other, they get better. They probably take it to that next level.
Yeah, but
it's probably the worst football I've seen both these teams play against each other for many years.
Yeah.
Even Penrith were the better team, but they weren't that good. They blew a lot of chances. They dropped a lot of ball, gave away a lot of penalties, and just simply the Storm were too clunky to take any sort of, any advantage of it. So,
let's just face it, Magic Round is shit, and get rid of it.
Oh, look, you know what I love about Magic Round?
That you live in Brisbane,
mate. Is the concept of Magic Round. I love the concept. I love what it is. But whether it actually works or not, I'm not entirely sure. I think I think for football and the entertainment and...
But it's not Magic Round, is it? It's Brisbane Round. I'm in favour of the Magic Round concept, but it's got to go to other fucking cities, mate.
Yeah. I think that's probably more about, what Brisbane offer as a football mad town. And I know
What brawls
it's
in,
not to say
brawls in the
aren't.
crowd and
Huh?
brawls in the
I-
crowd and family members of players getting death threats and...
That was a bit shitty, actually. Fucking that bloke who fucking death threatened Jackson Hastings' sisters, or I don't know what it was. As a fucking joke, that bloke should be banned for life. We've said it before in the chat here, guys, and in the videos that anything, your multi goes down, don't fucking text anyone. Don't email a fucking player.
Maybe I'm an old man, but I could go and get fucking pissed at the footy, with stubbies, and no fucking glass bottles would get thrown or anything like that. Everything was fun, and it's the
you could
fucking
get annihilated.
Fucking
Your team
dickheads
could be down by 40, and you just sit there and enjoy the day. Yeah, it's just too many loose cunts these days, mate.
Yep.
Next game, mate.
Next game. Now I have my old man.
Jackies.
It won't be my last rant. I'm in a ranting mood.
Ranting mood. Mate, look, the Raiders were just far too good for Cronulla. Cronulla just didn't put the right team on the park. It's as simple as that. We see this week that Hines has gone back to halfback, and we see the inclusion of a former rugby sevens player in Lockie Miller. I've got no idea what he can give Cronulla from fullback and how that works. I'm just hoping we get through this week
so Hines is back in the 7 this week.
Hines is back in the 7 this week, yeah. So they will be more effective, but you've really got to look at it and think, Cronulla's not their best team until Kennedy's back at number 1. Royce Hunt was absolutely massive. This guy is just getting better and better. I had this guy all last year in my team, and it's performances like this that sort of made me do it. Very, very small amount of minutes. Did score a try, obviously, which we inflated his score. But I think Cronulla have got to realise that they have a very, very effective Nelson Asafa-Solomono type player here with Royce Hunt. And he can definitely do some damage there. Mulatalo was great. Like, he's probably our best weapon that we've got, Mulatalo. He is getting better and better as well.
Do the Raiders have the wood on the Sharks? Beat them twice this year.
Yeah, look, it's been a few years since we've actually beat the Raiders, and you probably go through the ones that hurt have been the last couple of years in the finals. I'm pretty sure the last 2 years, the Raiders have been the ones to knock us out in that sort of knockout semi to begin with. So they do, mate. They do. They've sort of figured out how to beat us. They are our bogey side, and years gone by that wasn't the case. You go back before the last couple of years, and we'd go to Bruce Stadium and we'd absolutely destroy them. So things have definitely turned. The tide has turned there, and we'll see what happens. For the Raiders, look, I spoke about Joshy Papali at the start of the year, how I thought he was, one of the top sort of front rowers. I take it back. He's definitely starting to sort of just age a little bit out of what I think he needs for Supercoach. We saw a little bit of return to form on the weekend, but that's where I spoke about as well, was he gets on that 3 or 4 week run. I just don't think he's going to do it this year from what I've seen. So I think that's a bit of an anomaly, that score, and I would stay away. Zach Wolford, great debut from the young fella, Simon Wolford's young fella. So it was great to see him embracing the old man there, and the jersey presentation, everything like that during the week. The Raiders, really special occasion. Looks like a cheapie to jump on if anyone is at that stage of the season.
And his mum's not bad either.
Yeah, not bad at all. So yeah, anyone who sort of needs a cash generation, maybe you go from a Randall down to a Wolford, spend the money somewhere else. Who knows? Brad Schneider, unfortunately for anyone who held this guy for round 13, he has been dropped this week. Matt Frawley maintains his position in the Raiders halves with the return of Jackie Whiten from suspension. So a little bit unlucky there. And Tommy Starling, despite Wolford scoring well, Tommy Starling, maintained some good points there with 47, but again, he's one I would be jumping off, and I was glad I never got on to begin with. one thing to talk about, Teague Wilton for the Sharkies looked really good. Unfortunately, back to the bench this week with Wade Graham getting the starting role. Wade Graham needs to retire. He was so slow. He destroyed Cronulla on the weekend whenever they went left. It's just not good enough, Wade. I think the amount of concussions you've had, the body's taken its toll. I think you've got to. I think you've just got to give it away, Wade, and realise that you're not at that level anymore. But who am I to know?
And fuck, while they're paying him,
not like I've ever played NRL before.
While they're fucking paying him, you're gonna take those contracts while you can.
Exactly. Oh, mate, and hey, he's just looking after himself. He's doing the best that he can when he's out there. Yeah. But just watching that game on the weekend, he just looks slow and ineffective. And I can't change
maybe go and do a tour of England and then be done with
it. Yeah. Next game, mate. The Roosters getting up over the Eels.
Tell you what, Sawali. Fucking glad I brought Sawali in. I got Sawali and Manu in my fucking team, and they saved me from having a fucking abysmal score this week.
Mate, I said it to a couple of boys at work there today. I'm so dirty that I miss Sawali. Look, I didn't think he'd be as good as he is. And we know that he's in a team where once they get going, their wingers can score a huge amount of points. I think he's up to about 420 or 450 now. I still don't think you've missed the boat. If you can get him in.
Let me look at his break even. It's got to be in the minuses.
I would say so, yeah. Joey Manu, we know what we get out of Joey. It's brilliance or it's not much. He had a cracking game on the weekend there. He's got to be in your centre wings for 13. I would say Suwali as well. If you can get both of them in, or if you've got both of them already like you do, Bogues, mate, you're looking really, really good for 13.
Yeah, minus 31 for Sawali, so he's still very much well valued.
Yeah, probably the only thing people are talking about is the Roosters draw. The Roosters draw is very, very tough over the next few weeks, which may make it a little bit harder. But
with the game the way it is these days, can you really go off the draw? When you've got the Roosters, when you've got the Roosters beating the Eels, coming off beating the Panthers.
Yeah, mate, I've spoken about it before. I'm not as big into draws as everyone else. The simple fact is that these guys are the best players in the world. They are brilliant in their positions. They are where they are. Like week in, week out. A player can just simply play better, can take those opportunities. If a Joey Manu comes out and scores 140 in this game and scores 3 tries, it does not surprise you.
Yeah, and
if he then comes out and scores 40 next week against the Gold Coast Titans, it does not surprise you. So look
at the top 3 on the losing side.
Yeah.
So I don't pay attention to draws at all when I'm picking players because I'm looking more overall, but I'm probably not the best person to be taking advice from.
Mate, it sort of goes back to what I've spoken about in the last couple of weeks as well, is that you've got to pick players that are in Supercoach friendly teams. The best teams in the comp are the attacking teams in the comp. It's where you get the most points generation with regards to Supercoach. You've got to have players from these teams in your comp, whether it is Melbourne, Penrith, Roosters, Eels, Cronulla, to a lesser extent Manly this year. If you've got players from outside those teams, the simple fact is they're not going to score either as well or as consistently well. So, look, make your team up of those 6 teams. Find the cheapies in those teams that are going to come through because you know that, like your Suwalis, there's the potential there for any of these teams to put 50 on someone else and that player to score 3 tries. Oh, mate, absolutely. Kid's class, mate. He is good. Mate, like you say, from the Eels' point of view, Papali'i, massive, huge. 2 tries, 113 points. I'm glad I've had him from the start of the season. One of the boys in the chat there just spoke about Maddo. Who was that? Hato. I'm interested in Maddo, lads. Hato, I brought him in about 2 weeks ago. Humble brag. He scored fucking 90 odd, and then obviously 107 on the weekend. Can he keep up the points per minute? Probably not, purely because he has scored 2 very, very nice tries in that. But at the same stage, he has proven before he is an attacking weapon. And the fact that he's got that starting spot at 13, a lot of people are talking about him being at 13 not as effective as he is in the second row. I really think for that sort of first 30, 35 minutes, he'll play in that lock position. He's going to score 50 odd by halftime because he makes 30 tackles, he makes hit-ups, he offloads like a champion. Once then Brownie comes on, Nathan Brown comes on, Lane will go off, Madison will switch to the second row, and the opportunity there comes to run off Brown, score a try, and see what happens. Matto, there was just something I saw there. I love it. And the fact that it's been validated by the last 2 weeks, he's my buy of the year so far, just decision-wise at the right time. Really, really effective for all these guys across Supercoach with regards to Tupanua had some massive updates. 50 he was at the end of the game, updated to 77. I wondered how Hampton went from 50 in front to 80 in front. It was this guy. Takiaho was brilliant. I think Takiaho's one, and I've spoken about him in previous seasons. Takiaho is that timing guy. He's that guy where you've got to get him in the right 4 to 6 weeks. I think over the next 4 to 6 weeks, he goes on a run. I think he's playing harder teams, but I just see something there that he's ready to go. I think he's around that 500K still. So, see what happens there. Teddy was solid. He was in everything, but he's playing a lot of first receiver.
He still looks slow.
It just looks good. Huh?
He still looks slow.
I'll be honest, mate. I think this is the last year we pick him.
Even in that game, was it the week before last where he turned up?
Mm.
He was running strong and he was breaking tackles, but he's still a couple of steps behind on pace.
Yep. No, agree. Some good scores there. Very surprising Mitch Moses to score such a good score against a good team. Mitch is definitely one of those players who goes quiet against big teams. So that was a little bit of a change. Anyone who held on to him, you probably lost 200K in the last 3 weeks because he scored a lot of shit scores. But a nice bounce back there for him. Probably a little bit more effective in drafts. And we'll move on, mate. We get to the last game of the round. And
the fucking Cowboys are on fire.
Mate, probably the greatest piece of individual brilliance I've seen on a football field.
That's why I had to put in the
last 20 years.
That's why I had to put it on the thumbnail.
Murray Tawalangi, mate. This fucking kid's Houdini. David Copperfield. How he magicked that ball. That was the best part of Magic Round, mate. That finished off Magic Round exactly as it was named.
He wasn't just over the sideline. He was over the line for the markers with the cameraman.
His whole body was over the line. Like, his feet were outside.
Yeah.
They can't levitate it. Like, and the ball, like, Scotty Drinkwater scored the try off it, right? And he was so fucking surprised. He's like, where'd that cunt come from? You know, like, he just sort of caught the ball. He's like, put it down. He's like, wait, what? It was just incredible to watch. And, yeah, I put it down. Probably in the last 5 years, there's a couple of sort of moments I remember, and that'll definitely be one of them. But I love watching Sione Katoa from Cronulla and how he scores in the corner, and he jumps sort of 4 feet out of the sort of over the sideline
and just puts his
hand
over.
Scores them upside down in the air. You know, like Sione Katoa is the best of that. No one gets near him. What Tawalangi did on the weekend with regards to an assist, I think that rivals that. You know, like maybe even goes beyond it. So. Very, very, very cool to watch. Reuben Connor. Let's have a quick chat about him. He is in a lot of people's minds about whether he plays Origin or not. I think he misses. I think anyone who's got him is going to count the absolute blessings. The fact that this guy, I don't think he plays Origin.
It's a big call.
He's just... Oh, mate, I'm hoping he does. As a non-owner, I am absolutely hoping he plays Origin. I really hope they pick him. But I just think that pecking order, I don't know. I think he just missed it, like maybe 18th man, maybe 19th man. He's there on the edge, and the right injury maybe sees him play 15 or 17 or whenever they play the other two fucking games. But yeah, I just think for now he misses, and I think anyone who's got him going in around 13 is going to be absolutely blessed. If he gets called into Origin, fucking fantastic. That's awesome. I love it. But yeah, look, the Tigers, a lot of talk about everything went against them in this game. The calls, I did think there was a lot of calls that went against the Tigers in this game. This wasn't a game that they were ever destined to win. And the other big talking point in this game was Jason Tamalollo. I think he played the first 27 or 28 minutes, scored 24 points, and never returned to the field. Not through injury, not through anything, other than Todd Peyton coaching the side and not giving a fuck about Supercoaches. Guys, and look, I'm sure everyone who's watching there, we're all seasoned guys.
People were talking shit about Todd Peyton. Now they're talking about him as Coach of the Year. So if he...
look, I was disappointed in him last year, folks, but I thought what he did at the Warriors in their under-20 side and what he did through that system, I thought was awesome. I've always rated Todd Peyton. And I'm a little
bit biased because he used to play with my brother, so I actually know him.
Yeah.
And he's also former Erindale College alumni, so yeah, I've got a personal bias, but he's a super nice guy, and I'm glad to see that his success is continuing up there in Townsville.
Yeah, mate, he had it described where he was always thought he was a halfback, and there's a lot of props out there who think they're halfbacks, mate, but he was a bloke who could pull off a lot of what a halfback could. His footy brain is brilliant. His man management is really good.
Mate.
And I just think he needed that struggle season last year to get the Cowboys in line with what he wanted to do. And we're seeing that reflected this year.
Under 16s playing for the fucking Valley Dragons. You should have seen him just fucking towel everyone.
Yeah.
Valleys,
mate. I always loved playing Valleys. That was actually playing for the Queanbeyan Blues, mate. They were our nemesis. They were who we always came up in the finals against.
So I played for the Buffaloes. Our nemesis was the Queanbeyan Roos.
Yeah, there you go.
We were more keen to see who would win the fight.
Yeah. Well, the Blues, we were the pretty boys. The Roos were the downright dirty Queanbeyan blokes. So anyway.
Yeah. There's a bit of local Canberra footy talk. I'm sure all the listeners want.
Lolo didn't come back on the park, but I do think that strategically with regards to the Cowboys playing the Storm this week. I really think Peyton, once they got in front, he knew he didn't have to bring him back on. He wanted to rest him. He is going to have a massive game this week. Anyone thinking of getting rid of Lolo, do not whatsoever. The guy will bounce back. He will score 80 points against the Storm this week. He'll play 65 minutes. I'm tipping a try in there as well. Yeah, he will bounce.
He'll be fucking tackling his considerable ass off. So...
what do we got next, mate? Oh, that's the end of the games.
That is the end of the games. We're on to the team reveals for this week, the team list.
All right. Anthony Milford. Shit.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd see it this year.
Dire times for the Knights when you're pulling Milford out of your fucking ass.
Mate, look, yeah, I just think Adam O'Brien's got not a fucking clue. I really feel sorry for Knights fans, Hampton. I'm sorry you have to watch this team every week. Yeah. Tyson Frizzell comes back. Mitch Barnett maintains his spot at lock. Phoenix Crossland in the 14. Obviously, Tex Hoy drops out of the team. Matty Croker has been solid off the bench, as has Leo Thompson. From a Supercoach point of view, there's not much there that you want to have a look at. Like I say, I'm bringing in Mitch Barnett this week. I think he's definitely in the position where he'll just go on a bit of a run and just hoping he's a little bit of pod action. For the Bronx, a little bit of talk about Tamara Martin with regards to injury. Selwyn Cobbo training at fullback the last couple of days. I don't think it really matters because I don't want any of them Supercoach-wise in my team. Stags, he's been the fucking roller coaster of all hell this year. Herbie Farnworth, I rate. I love what Herbie does. He's probably the only one I'd have in my team. But again, probably more draft relevant.
I still think of the fucking Futurama professor every time someone says Herbie Farnworth.
Paddy Carrigan's been playing solid. Payne Haas, obviously, second game back from that week out. He'll get better this week. You expect a 70-plus score from him. And that's about it. Next game.
Next game. Oh, hold on. I don't have it set up. Here we go.
Kurt Mann is fucking rubbish, Kano. Kurt Mann is useless.
This is the game of the week.
Oh. I'm glad I finished work at fucking 5:30, and normally I don't turn this game on until like 7 o'clock.
I tell you what, though. I want to see the odds because, sacked coach syndrome. I reckon the Bulldogs will whoop the Tigers.
Yeah, look, I've actually tipped. You've made me think of that. I've tipped the Bulldogs in my local tipping comp, and based on that, every team that gets a new coach, they come out and win the first week up. It is. I reckon it's 9 times out of 10 it happens.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to change any. You don't have to do anything. It's just simply the fact that it's a breath of fresh air for the team, and it's a little bit of a pressure release.
Well, and if the coach gets sacked, that means everyone's contract is being looked at.
For the Tigers, what do we got? Peachy in the centres.
He'll do
nothing. Luke Garner's great in the centres lately.
He'll do fuck all.
He goes back to the second row. We see Tuolungi go to the bench. Say again, mate.
Tyrone Peachy will do fuck all, or it'll be his one game of the year where he scores 120.
Nah. I don't think he's got that game in him this year. He just looks shit house.
But his surname's Peachy. He's got to be good.
No. You know what? He would have been good if he had stayed at Cronulla. But anyway. New Brown. Great to see New Brown back. I think we spoke about him a couple of weeks ago. We were wondering where the fuck he'd been, and he was playing for one of the New South Wales Cup teams. So going to be weird to see him in Tigers colours, but we'll see how that goes. From a doggy's point of view, Josh Jackson comes back. Look, again, I can't have anyone in. I've got Thompson. I regret it, but he's there now until 13 finishes. Maxi King, he's been solid. Down on minutes last week. Anyone who was a little bit disappointed in Max King, look, he did only play, I think, 25 minutes last week. Still scored better than 1 point per minute, which in Supercoach is what we want out of a front rower. You just need them to get the 50 minutes that goes along with it. So he's got the offload. He's got the ability. Let's see if the new coach can, get a bit more out of him there. But they've just got a forward pack that plays sort of big minutes. Thompson plays sort of big minutes for a front rower. Vaughan does as well to an extent. Maybe Jackson Tapine is the one he sort of comes in for, but you've got Patola and Stimson there as well. So
once again, if you're at the pub for this one, this is the one to have your $2 on the pool table for, because it's not worth fucking watching.
No. Next game, mate.
This one, however, might be a cracker.
Yeah, look, I'm not too sure what to read. Obviously, Manly have got to bounce back, but how many of these injuries are sort of still niggling at him? Tommy Turbo looked disabled. Garrick looked the same. Kieran Foran, how he signed a contract for fucking $750,000 a year, I've got no idea. The Titans have just got not a fucking clue.
There's something going on there. Corruption, I say. He's got pictures of someone.
Oh, mate, I've always been a massive fan of Foran, and I really think the injury has cruelled his career because deep down, I think Foran is probably one of the most natural running sixes that I've seen in a very, very long time. And, your Cliffy Lyons and your things like that, we're talking about, Manly royalty. And this guy, before he sort of moved on to a couple of other teams, he probably could have created that if injuries didn't cruel him. The combination he's got is DCE is undeniable. Manly have got the team that I can imagine them getting to that semi-final again like they did last year, but they've just got to get the injuries under wraps. They've got the forward pack, they've got the halves, they've got the backs, they've got the bench. Everything is there for this team to be one of the best in the comp, but they're just not doing it on the footy park at the moment. So I'm waiting for that to happen because I don't see any excuses at the moment other than injury. But, yeah.
Is that it for that one?
A few boys calling a Gutho ton. Yeah, well, I don't know too many people who actually own him anymore, so there you go. Next game.
750 over 2 years, apparently, according to Thomas Cox in the chat.
Oh, over 2 years. I thought it was 750 a year. Anyway. Still no Shawnee Russell. Steven are far away also. Yeah, so Mike Acevo is named on the extended bench. He makes his return in New South Wales Cup this week for the Eels. And I think he'll play on one wing and Sean Russell will play on the other. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what those guys do. Sean Russell came back last week in New South Wales Cup. Did score a try, but they were convincingly beaten, I'm pretty sure. Next, mate. Yeah, look, another shit game. Yeah. Just fucking average. It's just...
Oh,
it annoys
all the shit teams got to play each other eventually, so...
Mate, I want to watch the top 8 teams playing this comp every week. Like, I want to watch all of them.
Oh, there's a fucking topic, but yeah.
But the fucking last thing I want to watch is the bottom 8 teams in the comp. We need a relegation thing. We need an English.
I was just about to say that. It's been thrown around in the past, especially with 2 new teams coming in, because there'll be another team that joins the Dolphins at some stage. They won't want to have a bye every week for too long. Do we look at having 2 divisions?
Look, it won't happen. I don't think it should happen. I think what we need to concentrate on is obviously, not diluting the player market too much. And I think that them adding another team in the Dolphins and another team after that is probably the wrong thing to do. But
yes,
it's such a big difference between the top 2 teams and the next 4, right? But then it's such a big difference between that next 4 and the next 4, and the bottom 4 teams are just fucking useless. And sometimes the bottom 4 and the bottom 4 above those sort of meld in together. You just don't want to watch them, mate. They just look terrible. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about either of these teams. Go next game, mate.
Yep. This is probably game of the round.
Oh,
this will go to show whether the Cowboys are the real deal if they can keep up with the Storm. They're not going to beat them, but if they can keep the score close.
Look, I think Jerome Hughes back is a massive in. He needs to be there, right? I wasn't a fan of Tyron Wishart at the back. I think Nick Meaney needs to play fullback. I think they need to find something else. Marion Seve was fucking atrocious, and it looked like he hadn't played NRL for a year, which he hadn't. Eremaya wasn't much better. There's a lot there for the Storm to improve on, and a Craig Bellamy-led team will. They will work on this for the whole week. Love the interview from Cam Munster after the game. Just absolutely ripping them to shreds. The fact that he was just, can't wait for next week. I've got the C straight on him at the moment. This could be the kind of game where Melbourne bounce back and put 50 on the Cowboys just because it's Melbourne. If they had Pappy, definitely.
Yeah.
Without Pappy, maybe it's 30. Maybe it's 26. And so that just really comes down to the unknown of being the Cowboys. Can the Cowboys do what they did to Parramatta and Darwin a few weeks ago? Can they do that, on Saturday against the Storm? I'm not too sure.
Oh, as I said, this is the test. There's been a lot of talk about the form that the Cowboys have been in. Can they compete with the Storm?
Yeah. Put it this way: if if the right Storm team turns up, Munster scoring 100 Supercoach points is Hughes is, Grant is, there's a lot of points in this team for Melbourne for Supercoaches, and I think after what we saw last week, they're too good a team not to bounce back.
What's the go with Smith being named at prop?
Why?
Well, surely he's not big enough to be a fucking prop. I suppose these days it doesn't fucking matter.
Mate, it doesn't. As long as you got an engine, as long as you're, he makes more post contact meters than probably any prop I've seen, other than maybe Payne Haas. Mate, he's just so hard to tackle. He's a little bulldog. Yeah, mate, it's going back to the sort of Marty Lang days and that, where he just sort of runs hard. He's got a little bit more smarts about him than what Marty did.
Oh,
but
Marty Lang used to fuck him. How would he go in the modern era? The first five minutes he'd be off the field with a fucking...
Yeah, no good. Anyway, move on, mate. What do we got on the Sunday? Roosters against the Panthers. Yes, obviously a couple of good games here. Saturday night. So it's going to be a big night of football on Saturday. This would be good to get home from and watch these couple of games. I really don't know what to expect here. The Roosters are on the way up. I've spoken about that. They're definitely getting better. But the Panthers have just got class everywhere, and they got so much control under their team at the moment. And the fact that they don't have to change players, like the Panthers have probably got used the least amount of players all season. You look at their team week in, week out, mate, it just doesn't seem to change. And it's one thing for a team that's maybe outside that bottom 8 to have that 5 or 6 weeks in a row. When you're the best team in the comp and proven that by a country mile, it makes you just so much more dangerous. So, we'll wait and see how this game goes. But Supercoach-wise, this is very, very helpful for both teams.
Brent Hampton picking the Chooks. What have they have the doctors given you something in the hospital, mate? They made you blow on the fucking whistle that you think the fucking Roosters are going to beat the Panthers.
Better hurry up because I've run out of bourbon. Next game, Bunnies. Still no sign of, obviously, Latrell Mitchell still over in the States recovering. I've seen some fucking TikToks of him over there. I don't know why even people care. He'll be back when he's back. Souths have been a little bit better. Trent Peoples in the second row. A lot of people talking about him. 174k cheapie. Scored 68 points last week to debut for Supercoaches. You don't have to jump on him this week. You don't have to jump on him next week. You don't have to jump on him at all. But if you want to make some cash, this is probably one of the last cheapies you look at. Maybe a Zach Wolford as well. Guys, I think it's getting to the busy time of the season where you've got to have players that are established. But better than having a non-playing reserve, I guess, is someone at this price rather than someone who's only ever going to play New South Wales Cup. For the Raiders, like we spoke about earlier, Jackie Whiten makes his return. Matt Frawley goes to the 7. Schneider does drop out completely. Tommy Starling to the 14 with Zach Wolford in the 9. Definitely looks a better makeup with this one. Nicky Kotrick, he got HIA'd in the game last week against Sharks. He passed that, so he will start again. Jordan Rapana, bottom dollar, 350,000. We don't see that too often. He hasn't had a good season whatsoever, but he can always bounce back whenever he likes. Cookie's been solid. Walker's been solid of late after starting the season very, very slow, but he still scares me owning him. And I reckon probably South's best player of the year behind Cam Murray has been Campbell Graham. He's just so consistent. Really, really works well on that right-hand side. And, there you go. Where the fuck is Apex Oval?
No idea.
Is that Dubbo?
No idea.
Let's have a look. Where's Apex Oval? Apex Oval. Dubbo. There you go. I was right. I heard something last week saying some match was going to Dubbo. So there you go. So South and their Raiders will be fighting it out in the West. Good luck to both teams. And to finish off the round, mate, 4 p.m. on the Sunday, we've got the Titans up against the Sharks. Currently in the odds, Cronulla $1.30, Titans $3 something, something, something. Get on the Titans. Cronulla lose again. Supercoach White. Look, Jaden Campbell, very, very impressive last week. I don't like the inclusion of SR Masters. A one-hit wonder. Call it whatever music fucking song you like. It was a one-hit wonder. SR Masters had that good season 5 years ago. Has not been any good since.
Video killed the roller star.
Yeah. Bowie Firma, we see him in the back row playing solid again. Still no David Fifita. He's out for another few weeks. Yeah, mate, I don't know. Like I say, Cronulla without Will Kennedy, they just lose so much dynamic ability. The attacking just goes out the window. I don't know what this Lockie Miller's going to bring. I like the rest of the team. Like, I really sort of, Toby Rudolph, Royce Hunt up front. Obviously, Finucane out for 4 to 6 weeks. He did a medial ligament, not a medial ligament, one of those fucking ligaments in your knee.
One of those ones that fucks you up for ages.
Yep. Tig Wilton should start over Wade Graham, or at least Wade Graham should piss off after 12 minutes. I hope Wade Graham gets knocked out in the 3rd minute, because then Cronulla will win, because then you
need Tolman to get knocked out as well.
Tolman started off the season all right, but he hasn't been good the last 3 or 4 weeks. Andrew Fifita on the bench. Andrew Fifita out this week for me for Trent Peoples to come in. I thought I'd make a little bit more money out of Fifita. I thought I'd sort of make 100, 150K. Hasn't happened. He just doesn't have the work rate anymore. He is broken. Trindle's broken. Tolman's broken. Wade Graham's broken. Get rid of those 4 guys. Bring in someone fresh. For the Titans, Aaron Clark, Tanner Boyd. I love the combination. These guys have got a 9 and 14. Supercoach relevant, not whatsoever. But I think from a team point of view, I do like how these guys interact or interchange on the field for the Titans. They just need a little bit more creativity in the halves. Toby Sexton's definitely still finding his feet. Knows what he wants to do half the time, just can't execute it. So we'll see where that gets to for them. That's it, mate.
That is it for the bring up the leagues. So with the leagues, this is the Bogan Cup.
Bogan Cup.
This is the Bogan Cup. Got your misses. Shannon scored just over a ton, 1,076. Humdinger Dolphins. He seems to be up there every week. I have to check the ladder to see how he's going. He must be top of the league or close. Just 1 point shy. James with Kirko.
I'll tell you. Hang on, before you go any further, Shannon with Got Your Misses. This just shows you how fucking shit last week's scores were. The fact that a bloke can top the overall in the group.
It is the Bogan Cup, though.
And be 75,000th overall.
The Strugglers Cup. The struggle. Yeah. Well, look at me. I'm sitting there in 7th. I scored 991. Tied with Pappenhouse.
Pappenhouse then.
Oh, Pappenhouse then. Whatever.
And who we got? Johnny. Get the spin. 200th overall. 986.
Yeah, well, there might be a spoiler. There might be a spoiler for the groups, but so that was the Bogan Cup. On to the BJ Royal Rumble. It was Happy Dugouts with 1126. So Mitch, good on you there. I feel Gould. Well, Phil Gould doesn't at the moment. Damon, he scored 1118. Bye Chris. He got a 1092. Cooper with my household with a 1070. And Work of Cardi, Jared, with a 1069.
He beat me in 2 leagues, that fucking prick.
Really? What other league? You got him in some other league or something?
I think he might be in one of the cash leagues or something, or I don't know. I think he might be in one of Big Ted's leagues, but yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I'm sure.
Big Ted, where the fuck are you cunt?
Big Ted, we will see right now.
He'd be sleeping.
Right now, Mana. BJ,
Mark,
BJ, the BJ Invitational League, Mana with an 11-18, just pipped over the top of Pete Top, Kevin Bottom, Jesse with 11-17. Cleary the best, Shano. Shano from your video earlier. Cheers, mate, if you're still watching. I don't know if you're back yet or not. With a 10-62. Big Ted came in fourth with a 10-56. Equal with Benny with a 10-56.
I think one thing I will point out as well, the league's up to about rank 34 or 35th, and that's with Wayno Hell's Granny's fucking dragging the fucking chain. He's had a shock this season.
Shout out to Wayno.
I reckon if we could have another one of any of the other 19 players instead of Wayno, not to say we don't want you, Wayno, you're more than welcome every year, mate, but we'd be fucking top 10.
Which takes us to the group for the round. Eli, fuck you and you fucking weird ass how you've written your name. Supercoach number 1
that's windy
in all sorts of fucking every crazy special character you could fucking find.
I love it.
He scored a 12-24, which may as well be a 17 fucking 100 this week.
Hey, I'll tell you what, 12-24 though, moved up to overall rank 127. Massive number. Well done, champion. Very well done, Eli.
Tyson with the Hawks and fucking AFL shit. But anyway, he...
Fuck off.
Sorry?
Fuck off.
What? Me calling AFL shit? I'll call AFL shit all day.
No, not you. No, Tyson. Like, mate, a Hawks. That's the best you can come up with.
He's got the Hawthorn. He's got the Hawthorn colours for his badge, and that's why I said AFL. And we got to support the members of the LGBT community, King. They're not in the group.
No, who said he's part of the LGBT fucking QZ fucking group?
I did, because he's got the Hawks logo and the colours.
AFL.
Yep. But he got 11.85, and he was second in the week for the group. So yeah, really low scores. Glenn with Brute Force, who was checking his team at the time I took the graphic. Hope he made some good trades. He got 11.47, tying with All Saints John. And then Nugget Runner, Sai. We've seen Sai a few. Sai was up there last year, wasn't he?
Never heard of the cunt.
I'm sure Sai was one of the top. Well, he's not top this year. He's 29,000. He's down with me. And he scored an 11.46 this week.
And then you got Andy just outside the top 5 this week, 176 overall, up the Dufty.
So he will be on the next screen. So the group overall, O'Shea's Olays, Joshua. He got a 10.26, but he's sitting in 107th overall. And it's got Eli with his fucked up team name. He's sitting in 127th. Andy with Up the Dufty. He's sitting in 176th. John with Get the Spin, who you just mentioned, 200th overall. And Stratty Highlanders, James, a fucking union as well. Fuck off. Other codes. With a 245.
And Sweaty Sack there. Matty Buckman, obviously Matty, Triple SC podcast in the chat. Matty, you did jump over me. You got, I think he said he went up about 80 spots or something like that.
He's 25 points ahead of you overall. So one good fucking pick and you pinged him back.
Oh, mate, and that's what it is. It's so competitive this year. It's definitely not as drawn out as we've seen in last season with regards to spacing in numbers. You know, your top probably 1,000 is maybe 600-700 from first. So it does seem like a lot, but a few good picks, a few good captains, all of a sudden you're up into that top 50, top 100. So there you go.
On to the draft results. Ampto's Hitman fucking whooped Dr. Kane Anderson. Joshua King went down to Shano.
I didn't even check my team. 658. That's not bad for a bloke who never checks his fucking draft team.
Aren't you our representative in all these other fucking drafts and shit as well?
That podcast one, yeah. I think normally in that podcast one for Kano, you win with about 500 to 600 points. I think I lost by about 350 on the weekend. So
Good, eh?
I don't know what my team looks like there.
Representing the show well there. Clemmy with Gula's Kebabs. He went down to the Hell's Grannies, who you ripped on before, but they keeps up chalking up wins in draft. Wayno.
Well, there you go. I'm looking at this podcast as one. So I had Cameron Murray starting, who didn't play. I had Jazz Tavunga on the bench, who scored 85. I had Josh Schuster, who didn't play. Somehow I've got fucking Matt Moylan as my fullback.
Ugh.
Mate, very average. Very average. Oh, this is not a good team whatsoever.
Anyway, back to the competition that fucking counts, mate.
Anyway,
I shouldn't. I should just fucking leave it at that because I lost to Big Ted. He beat me by 50 odd points there, or close to 50, and then Benny, with one of his lowest scores of the season, got up over the Shockmasters.
Benny's had a cracker of you. He's done well.
Which takes us to the fucking ladder. Benny, after threatening for so many weeks, is now top of the league. 14 points. Followed by myself, sitting on 13. Thanks for a draw with Hell's Grannies. Shano and Ted and Kane Anderson all breathing down my neck on 12 points. And you've got yourself and Clemmy as well, who are still in the mix.
Well, I tell you what, props to Kano. He must have a solid team. Look at the for and against there. Kano scored plenty, but he's had a shit ton scored against him, 7,417. I'll never like to be too complimentary of Kano. He gets a big head, but, mate, well done, son. Well done. And what else you got after that? Is that it?
That's it, mate.
Hour and 20. That's not bad. That's not bad. Better than an hour and 28, which we normally do.
It's an hour and a half show, let's face it.
It is. It is. We are the footy show. Thursday nights on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Guys and girls, BJonGameDay. Mate, I've got nothing else to add.
Just checking the chat. Gilesy says, "Fuck AFL, you get points for missing hit game." Yeah, well, that's yeah.
Hey, that's like the fucking participation awards that kids get these days in schools, mate. That's why they play AFL.
Oh. Yeah, it's illegal to tackle around the legs. Fucking bullshit game. Anyway, any dogs in this week?
Mate,
No.
fuck. Oh, miserable.
No.
No. There will be, but Sunday I'll be racing Lomachenko. Leo's letters pulled up a little bit sore after his last run. That was Sunday night. Unfortunately, both the dogs didn't go too well. Leo's letters pulled up a little bit sore on the wrist. Lomachenko will be running again on Sunday up at Capalaba up the straight. Get on. He's ready.
Shano in the chat, don't forget to stay hydrated with soy sauce. Yeah, mate, you can keep that.
I've got a different hydration choice, mate.
Keep that shit.
All right, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us.
Comment, like, rate, subscribe.
We're up to 577.
Tell your mum. Shout out to the Supercoach fanatics who gave us a shout out today on Twitter.
Did they?
Yeah.
Fuck, legends. Cheers, Gleno. That's Gleno on Supercoach Tragic. There. I don't mind them. Theirs goes all right.
Yep. So check them out. Subscribe to them. But more importantly, subscribe to us.
Done. See you, boys.